Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we're going to be breaking down the March tier list. There are a couple updates, including it does have the new hero, which is Mira. Overall, not seeing a lot of utility with the hero, even though she is the regular 4 faction. I feel like tower progression, even campaign formations, you could see this hero being used, but again, not a lot of really utility with this hero that we're seeing. I know it's incredibly early, only been out a couple days, and also coming on the test server this week should be the awakened hypo hero that we're going to be seeing. So we're going to have to see exactly where he places, if he's going to be a damage dealer or going to be another support. Only time will tell. But let's hop over, guys, break down this tier list. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And here we are on Tier Maker. Now I want to break this down. Now remember, this is kind of broken down in the S tier and above, which is the primary heroes. When you think about wish list, when you think about building heroes up, looking at the progression, it is very, very important that you do build them out. You don't have to stick with it if you don't want to with the wish list, but overall, this is going to be the most successful. So starting in our top left, like we always do, looking at our SSS tier, we still do have Liberta still sitting as literally used in every single game mode in AFK Arena. I am waiting for the day when someone dethrones this hero. Since release, it's been kind of crazy. And you also notice that the counterpart, Lucilla, is in here as well, which is kind of crazy because effectiveness still used in a ton of different places. A lot of times used in combination, both of them together, but still seeing a ton of utility. Coming in, and as you can see, moving up a little bit, we do have Aurelia. Now, one thing to note with this hero specifically is Aurelia does require and does need a plus 40 signature item. So that is very, very important to note when you build out this hero. The plus 40 signature item is required. If you do not have a plus 40 signature item, the utility of the hero goes down a lot. Now, the awakened version of Athalia is still in here, still, again, primary number 1. When you think utility-wise, works incredibly well. Still have the Highborn Draconic Hero Land that is in here. Also do have Demia. Again, Demia in here for the cheat death ability, having the ability to give that to the team. And then the combination of having the collection with Mira really does make a difference. Lavatoon still doing incredibly well in here. And the second awakened hero we have is Leica. So the top tier, that SSS tier, hasn't changed, but some of the positions did, with Aurelia, again, being used in a lot more places. And overall, seeing the awakened version of Athalia and Leica still doing incredibly well. Looking at this S tier, this second part, we have Randy. Now, of course, when you look at the hero utility-wise, super broken early game like you've seen on the free-to-play account, but also the best in slot damage dealer in a lot of different game modes, which is the reason why he still reigns supreme. Almost going up to that SSS tier, and I feel like he could if we continue using him and using him like we are. Now, Zora, the third awakened hero we're seeing right here, and the newest Celestial hero, is making progression. If you remember, she was about 7-8 down now. Now she's in the second slot in that SS tier. Again, starting to see a lot more utility. Rimuru as a mage, still doing incredibly well in the support aspect. Same with Amelia as a crowd control energy regeneration. Again, works super well. Then we get into right here is the second of our basic faction heroes, meaning we had Randy and now we do have Jerome. Jerome is one that, looking at the awakened version of Belinda, looking at the awakened version of Lucius, or even looking at heroes outside of the Lightbearer faction, he is still doing incredibly well. Now, we do have the awakened version of Belinda in here. Again, still best in slot for some game modes. Chuna being a support hero as a buffer, incredibly, incredibly strong. Same with Ivan, where you can literally drop Ivan into any formation that you want to. The hero is going to perform incredibly well on the primary damage dealer, boosting up energy, boosting up attack, boosting shielding, survivability. Definitely a hero worth having. Gavis still making a very strong showing in here, again, kind of as a support. Some formations, he does a little bit of damage, but overall, the utility of keeping other heroes alive is incredibly well. And then we have Nox. So Nox, of course, in the SEAL team is super broken in PvP, but also the buffs he provides in regular combat, including energy regeneration, does make a big difference, putting him in this top tier. Also have Palmer in here, again, for the crit damage amplification. We have Aethys in here as a true tank, doing incredibly well. Then we have Halia. So overall, this hero, even though she is super squishy in the PvP aspect, A lot of other places where damage dealing is pertinent, she has been doing incredibly well. She has moved into a lot of the damage dealing groups. Now, I know most players, including myself, do not have her built really at all. So not seeing, and again, I just have to merc or borrow a copy of her to really have her work in these different formations. But we're starting to see a little bit more utility out of this hero. Then we have Scion. Now, even though it is a Draconic hero, it is a regular Draconic hero, but the damage that he is putting out is super broken, which is pretty impressive to see where he is in this SS tier. Rem still does incredibly well. Again, survivability, keeping her alive, will do very well. Naruko, we still have the buffing in here, the shielding, a lot of utility within this hero. The Awakened version of Thorin starting to see in more formations. The Awakened version of Chimera still seeing again in a lot of formations, including both of these heroes being pivotal when it comes to the treasure scramble itself. Then we have Skyline in here. Very similar to what we see with Halia. The Highborn Draconic heroes are so super expensive to build. Utility-wise, if you do not have them, a lot of players are running the Awakened version of Iran, is what we're seeing kind of as a substitute for him in similar formations. But overall, again, this is another one that I have to merc because I don't have built. Now we have Misha in here again running, and really with Misha, a defensive collection works incredibly well with her. Really amplifying what she can do. Awakened version of Lucius, still best in slot for a couple formations. Thing with him, requires a very high build. Eugene still being run in some formations. Again, the Awakened version of Iran. And then we have Trishia in here, and I feel like this hero is going to be replaced pretty shortly. Then we get into this S tier. So this, of course, is heroes. When you think of these heroes, these are the primary heroes that pretty much support everything. Either they're best in slot for one or two formations, or they play a very strong support aspect within there. Now, of course, we have the Chad right here, Theo, which is the first one kicking off. We have Adrian and Lise, another hero that does require a +40 signature item. Hildwyn in here, again, defensive-wise, really a mage that doesn't do a crazy amount of damage. Defensive-wise, still does incredibly well. Awakened version of Sophia, still, again, defensive-wise, keeping heroes alive does work very well. Awakened version of Baden, if you don't have a lot of other heroes, he is first generation, same with Solus. For the Awakened heroes, still doing well in formations. Solus, I still see quite a bit of utility in there. Then we have Nyla, and you'll also notice that we do have the Awakened version of Gwen ever since the Draconic release, which is crazy to think because it has been like a year since we got the Awakened version of Gwen. Now, of course, at this point, Gwen is starting to be replaced in a lot of formations. The power creep are starting to overtake the formation she's in there. Seeing a lot more utility with Halia, seeing more utility with Skyland that are essentially replacing the damage that she was doing. Emerson here still provides that enthusiasm, a lot of buff. Kelthin in here, run within the tower, and really that's the only place that we're seeing him right now. The Awakened version of Montandra, one or two formations, again, that are still being used. Then we have Melion. So interesting enough, Melion is starting to see a lot more utility since we've seen Scion and Halia come in because of the ability to buff the Draconic heroes. This hero was down in the A tier, moved up to the S tier because of the utility with these heroes together, making a big difference. Rosline, of course, utility can be put in any formation. Gonna follow your damage dealer or whoever you assign it to. Will do well. Ulna for the cheat death. We have Rain for the damage amplification. Lady Simona still does work pretty well with the Awakened version of Chimera. Gorn in here for the energy regeneration and the buffing. Same with Rowan. Mortis, of course, as a buffer. Scarlet still seeing some love within the Nightmare Corridor as a burst hero. Same with Iran and, of course, with Silas. So we get into the A tier. Now, in the A tier, this is pretty much going to be heroes that are either one, super niche, just in one formation, like we see with the Awakened version of Thane, or they're going to be heroes that are absolutely pivotal when it comes to the tower. So when you think of tower progression, a hero like Matria is still run pretty well in a formation. But overall, you'll also notice that Sheltier is in here, short of the Treasure Scramble in campaign formations. Not seeing her in the Cursed Realm, the Nightmare Corridor. Not seeing her, in the Twisted Realm, couple places. Not seeing the utility of the hero. Again, PvP, super important. Rest of here, not really used very much. And a lot of these heroes are also quite a bit older. When you think of like an Olgath, when you look at Kanice and Ruse, even looking at, Oden, these heroes do incredibly well. Nevi do incredibly well within tower formations. outside of there, not really used too much. And also a lot of dimensional heroes. When you think of the ability to get Joan of Arc out of different parts of AFK Arena, even looking at Merlin, still, again, has some utility if you don't have anyone built. And then again, the one-offs with like Vika. Again, Vika and the original version of Baden, which is right down here in this B tier. I'm still seeing, again, some niche formations, just the way it works. But I feel like as soon as another hero comes out or a newer hero comes out, we are going to see this really change. Now, you also notice that Albedo is in here. It doesn't seem like, as much as I would love to see Ainz and Sheltir and Albedo run together for the Overlord combination, formations, Albedo's not being run with Sheltir at all. Sheltir's being run in some different formations, which means the utility of Albedo actually went down just because, again, we're not seeing her used in a lot of different places. And of course, when it comes to Ainz, is another one that is falling quite a bit down the tier. I was hoping with the buffs, I was hoping with the utility that we would see a little bit more use out of Ainz. And the same is true right here is Mira. They dropped her into the B tier. Again, utility-wise, tower formations, of course, going to be used, but looking at pretty much every single game mode. And again, it could be too early. Mira's not really being used. Valkyrie is down here as well. We see Zolrath. Just some of the heroes, again, that short of tower formations, possibly not really being run at all. These are the heroes, again, you're not really going to focus on. Then we also do have the C tier, which of course brings up a majority of the other heroes. We have Lucy in here, Zafriel's in here, a lot of other heroes, including the Awakened version of Aziz. And I believe the Awakened version of Taylene is down here as well. And there is our Overlord companion. There is Ainz falling into that C tier. Again, utility-wise, not using them anywhere that I'm aware in the classic version. Now, in companions, they are doing incredibly well. Ainz and Sheltir and running Albedo. A lot of people are running them together in companions, and it is working incredibly well. Then we have this bottom D tier, which nobody runs at all. Again, not a lot of utility with any of those heroes. Do not even recommend getting nor building the heroes. Even thinking of the C tier, when I start going through here and kind of one-off looking at heroes, a majority of them are not even used within campaign formations anymore, but not seeing much use even in tower formations either. So even thinking of like the original version of Thane, thinking of Kaz, thinking of the heroes pretty much in here, there's not a reason anymore to build them. Also, since they got rid of the collection requirement to have your copies of like an Orthos, have copies of the original version of Athalia and all of those, since they have relaxed those requirements, again, not really a reason to build them up at all. Sorry, guys, so that is going to do it for the tier list. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. This is March of 2025. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.